In the summer of 1984, fear spread across Los Angeles like a disease moving silently through the night. Families locked doors earlier than ever before. Gun stores sold out as terrified residents searched desperately for protection. Parents forced children indoors before sunset. Nobody felt safe anymore because somewhere in the darkness, a predator was moving randomly from neighborhood to neighborhood, selecting victims without warning. Elderly couples, young women, children, and entire families became targets. The killer entered homes while people slept, attacked with unimaginable brutality, then disappeared back into the night before sunrise. Bloody footprints, satanic symbols, and horrifying crime scenes transformed Los Angeles into a city living in permanent terror. Newspapers called him the Night Stalker, but long before Richard Ramirez terrified millions of people, his descent into violence had already begun during a childhood poisoned by abuse, drugs, obsession, and death. Richard Ramirez was born in El Paso, Texas, in 1960, into a troubled family struggling with violence and instability. His father was known for explosive anger and severe physical abuse. Richard often endured brutal beatings that left emotional scars lasting throughout his life. As a child, Ramirez suffered multiple head injuries that some experts later believed affected his psychological development. Teachers described him as withdrawn, emotionally detached, and frequently absent from school. One influence proved especially dangerous. His older cousin Miguel returned from the Vietnam War, carrying horrifying stories and violent trauma. Miguel openly described acts of torture and murder he claimed to witness during combat. Richard listened obsessively while his cousin showed him graphic photographs. Those disturbing conversations exposed the young boy to extreme violence long before he could emotionally process what he was hearing. Then, in 1973, Richard witnessed something that would haunt him forever. During an argument inside the family home, Miguel shot and killed his wife directly in front of Richard. Investigators later believed the event deeply traumatized Ramirez, while simultaneously desensitizing him further to violence. By adolescence, Richard had become increasingly disconnected from normal society. He experimented heavily with drugs, developed an obsession with Satanism, and spent nights wandering cemeteries. In the early 1980s, he moved to Los Angeles. California would become the setting for one of the most terrifying murder sprees in American history. In June 1984, the murders began. 79-year-old Jenny Vinco was found brutally murdered inside her Los Angeles apartment. The attack shocked investigators because of its extreme violence and apparent randomness. There was no clear motive. Nothing connected the victim to organized crime or personal enemies. Months later, more attacks followed. Victims varied wildly in age, background, and location. Some survived long enough to describe a thin man with dark eyes entering homes during the night. Others never had the chance. Ramirez attacked sleeping couples, elderly residents, young women, and families without warning. Sometimes he used guns. Other times, knives, hammers, or blunt objects. The unpredictability made him even more terrifying. Residents could not identify any clear pattern. The Night Stalker seemed capable of appearing anywhere at any time. As the attacks intensified, investigators noticed disturbing details linking several crime scenes together. Victims described hearing satanic references during assaults. At some scenes, pentagrams appeared drawn on walls or doors. Ramirez openly embraced satanic imagery, believing it gave him power and identity. He frequently wore black clothing and admired heavy metal bands. During attacks, he sometimes forced victims to swear loyalty to Satan. Survivors later recalled his cold stare and emotionless voice while he committed unimaginable acts of violence. The media quickly amplified public fear. Newspapers covered every murder obsessively, while television stations warned viewers to secure homes before nightfall. People began sleeping with loaded weapons beside beds. Neighborhood watch groups formed throughout Los Angeles County. Hardware stores sold massive numbers of locks, alarms, and security bars. Meanwhile, Ramirez seemed to enjoy the panic spreading through California. He followed media coverage closely and understood the psychological power he now held over millions of people. By 1985, law enforcement recognized they faced one of the largest manhunts in California history. A massive task force formed involving detectives from multiple jurisdictions. The breakthrough finally came through forensic science. Investigators recovered fingerprints from stolen vehicles connected to the crimes. Those prints eventually matched records belonging to Richard Ramirez. Police now had a name and photograph. But before authorities could capture him, newspapers accidentally published details revealing investigators knew his identity. The mistake triggered panic because Ramirez remained free while now fully aware police were hunting him directly. On August 31st, 1985, Richard Ramirez returned to Los Angeles. After traveling briefly to Arizona, completely unaware his face now covered newspapers and television screens nationwide, he stepped into a neighborhood filled with people already searching for him. The moment residents recognized him, chaos erupted. Citizens chased Ramirez through streets while shouting warnings to others nearby. Furious crowds attacked him before police finally arrived and took him into custody. After months of terror, the Night Stalker was captured not by detectives alone, but by ordinary civilians refusing to let him escape. News of the arrest exploded across America. The terrifying figure responsible for so much fear turned out to be a thin, disheveled drifter with rotting teeth and vacant eyes. The trial, beginning in 1988, became one of the longest and most expensive criminal trials in California history. Ramirez behaved unpredictably throughout the proceedings. He entered court displaying pentagrams on his hands and shouting phrases praising Satan. At one point he raised a hand marked with a pentagram while yelling, "Hail Satan," directly toward cameras and spectators. Unlike some killers who eventually expressed remorse, Ramirez appeared completely detached from the suffering connected to his crimes. He smiled at reporters, flirted with female supporters, and embraced the role of infamous serial killer with disturbing confidence. After years of testimony, the jury found Richard Ramirez guilty of 13 murders along with numerous counts of attempted murder, sexual assault, and burglary. The judge sentenced him to death. In June 2013, Richard Ramirez died at the age of 53 while awaiting execution on death row from complications related to cancer. The Night Stalker murders permanently changed California. Residents who lived through that period still remember checking locks repeatedly before bed and fearing every unfamiliar sound outside after dark. Entire communities existed under psychological siege, while Ramirez moved invisibly through neighborhoods, hunting victims. Richard Ramirez did not target specific enemies. He invaded ordinary homes belonging to strangers and transformed peaceful nights into scenes of terror. Families sleeping safely in suburban neighborhoods suddenly became victims of unimaginable violence simply because he selected their homes at random. And long after his death on California's death row, the shadow of the Night Stalker still lingers over the dark history of Los Angeles, reminding the world how quickly safety can disappear when terror enters through the darkness after midnight.